Hi, I'm Josh Hewerman, and today we are going to build a miniature fire pit. The main part of the body of the fire pit is going to be built at a 3/8 square stock. The pit itself is going to be made out of 14 gauge hot rolled steel that we had previously CNC plasma cut off site, and we're kind of just welded together. I will say with fire pits, if you do live in an area that might burn down if you're having a fire outside, please be careful. Don't set the state on fire. First thing we're going to start with is I'm going to build 2 squares that are going to be the end cap. So those are going to be 10 by 10 squares. And then once we're done doing that, I'm going to add these 20-inch bars that are going to attach those two. When you're dealing with solid stock or anything that you're possibly going to grind and fully remove the weld on, I always like to give it a bevel, just so when you do clean it up, the majority of your weld is still left behind, so whatever you welded together will stay together. So I have 2 short sides, 2 long sides. I am going to bevel my short end pieces because they are just going to intersect to the long pieces and set on the inside of those. So I'm just going to put a quick bevel on those. Once I'm done with that, I'm just going to put a square on these, start tacking them together, start measuring, make sure we're good, and then we'll weld them out and clean them up. Okay, now that those are beveled, I can kind of sit here and line up my pieces. And I typically just throw a quick little square in the corner, and I will just hold my pieces. As long as I know my work surface is level, you can get away with just holding your pieces and then applying a tack. If you wanted to and you're not that comfortable holding and tacking at the same time, you can clamp these down if you wanted to ensure that they're not going to move while you tack, but I've done this once or twice in my life, so I'm just going to go ahead and hold it together and give it a quick little tack. Okay. Still at a 90, so we're good there. We'll go ahead and put our other bevel piece down here and just do the same thing. When you're tacking, it's probably going to move a little bit on you. When you're working with this kind of material, it'll easily kind of bend back out. If you're out like a 16th, you can kind of work your material so you can get it to be square. Alright, there we go, got a nice little square. I'm going to double check myself and just do kind of a cross square. Yep, right on the money. Now that I've already got that, I'm going to set that one off to the side. I'm just going to do the exact same thing to the other side. Once I have those tacked up, I'll compare them to each other, make sure we're nice and symmetrical. And then I will weld those out, clean those up. Once I have that done, I will worry about adding the cross bars in. And then you can set those on each other, and you can kind of see that they are really close to tolerance. and pretty much a mirror image of themselves. So I'm happy with that. They're both square. Now I'm going to go ahead and fully weld these out, and then I'm going to clean up the welds. Now I got those. We're going to go ahead and add the crossbars. There's going to be one dead center on the bottom, and then I'm going to go ahead and have two running on the top side, so this fire pit can actually be lifted in and out, that it'll just rest inside this frame. So you can clean it out. So I'm going to go ahead and mark center of these squares, and then I will actually probably start with these double up top, so I can set this upside down, line it up, square it up, tack it, then I'll flip it over, do the single bar in the middle, and then I'll check my measurements, make sure we're good, and then I'll weld it out, clean it up, and then we can start building on the firebox. Whenever you're doing projects like this, if you do get BBs on your table, try to clean them off. It can, one little BB can throw off your entire project from either being square or level. So if you're trying to do that, try to make it nice and square, nice and flat. Always clean your table before you move on to the next weld. When you're doing a project like this, it might take a couple tools, so I am actually going to put a bubble level on the outside here, and I am going to just use my mini square, make it square in that direction, and use the bubble level to make sure that I am square the other direction. Once I have it where I want it, I'm going to put a small little tack. Now that we got that, we'll go ahead and flip it over, and we'll go ahead and put our center bar in. Now when you're tacking some of these projects, they might walk a little bit, but it's going to happen when you're fabricating. So luckily with this, these kind of kicked in where I tacked, but since I've got this bar cut to my dimension, I'm going to be able to kind of force it in there, and it's going to pull it back to the dimension I need it to be at. Just line those up on our center marks. And if you want to, you can check this for square as well. In place. Alright, there we have the frame. You could fully weld this out at this point, but I'm going to hold off until I get the firebox all put together. I just want to check, once I have that built, that it's going to fit down in there all nice. And then once I have that fit up, I can take that out, finish welding and cleaning up the holder part, and then we'll finish welding out the firebox. It's a 14 gauge hot roll steel, just cut it with the CNC plasma, and we are just going to kind of square up our sides on each one, make sure we're nice and square. We're just going to kind of tack it, and then we'll put the other side and just make sure that's square as well, and that we're pulling 90s in each corner. Once we have it all tacked and if it's looking good, we will go ahead and do some stitch welds on that, and then we will place it in our firebox, make sure that fits nice. We'll finish welding that out, clean this all up, and then you'll have a fire pit. So on these sheet metal projects, you can just get one of these big magnets, 90 magnets, just kind of help you be an extra hand, hold it in place while you move it around, get it all lined up. And we'll go ahead and do the same to the other side. Now we got our box all packed up, ready to go. We're going to check the fit up on the base. It'll be tight. A little bit of grinding and it'll fit perfect. So, made it a little too snug, and that is why when you're doing a project like that, this is why you only tack it together. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut these tacks real quick, give this a little bit of relief, and then re-tack those into position. There we go. Sweet. Now, that fits down in there. Go ahead and weld out the frame. Finish out welding the box. Clean up any of the BBs and debris on here. And then you'll have a fire pit. There we have it. Nice little fire pit that you can enjoy at your home.